Um, yeah, for some reason we're not going out on X, or I don't. You know what? I don't know if we are or not. So if you're not getting us on X this morning, you'd had no way of me
just pretend that we don't know that. You know it, but we don't. So
right. If we're not talking to you, that means you're not getting us.
Hi.
And if you're not getting us, call Elon Musk at home and complain.
And if you can't get a hold of him, call Leon Musk. He's almost as good.
Just complain. It's Mikey and Vinnie, Michael Knight, New York Vinnie, on a Wednesday morning.
Because we're here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yes, that midpoint of the week where we look back at all the stuff that happened this week and then look back on the other stuff that happened that's going to happen next week. And then we try to figure out where you all fit into it. Long ago, I stopped trying to figure out where I fit into it or you fit into it. I'll try to figure it out for them.
I think you might be in line for the Viceroy of Greenland. We're going to need someone to run things there. J.D. Vance can't be on call all the time because he has things to do at home. He cleans
he's a baby papa.
He cleans the cat box. He keeps the kitchen tidy. He has things to do at home, and he can't be responsible for Greenland. So, Vinnie, I hope that you can take the position as Viceroy of Greenland when the position comes up, and be kindly to the people under your charge.
I didn't think we had things like viceroys. I thought that was done. I thought the only position like that we had in the United States was a boulevardier.
Ooh, those are the guys who walk along the boulevard, right?
Right. It's a man at a boulevard. You used to see him. Many places had him. It was the guy in the neighborhood who kind of
sharp suit.
Knew everything. No, it didn't necessarily have to be. My Uncle Ernie, who was a boulevardier of the grandest kind back in the early 60s.
What boulevard did he boulevard?
Northern Boulevard. And he was the boulevardier of Northern Boulevard. And he was known to all the businesses. He didn't have a visible job. Really, I think, but he managed to be always in and out of the different shops and doing stuff.
People would let him decide the difference in a dispute on the sidewalk.
Well,
what's the best champagne?
Yeah, in some ways, he was always in and out of the flower shop, and if they had an extra delivery that the delivery truck or had to get there right away, Ernie took it. He was, he always hung out at the meat market, Rispoli's, which is right next to a door down from the flower shop.
What was their specialty at the meat shop?
Yeah, the meat shop was Merco, and which earlier was Merkel, and then they got caught up in a little scandal where they were selling horse meat. Which didn't sit well with many of the Italians were okay with it, but a lot of other people weren't.
So why the long face, right?
Exactly. And then he also assembled papers for Axelrod, who owned the candy store.
Ernie was damn busy. I mean, he had appointments.
And then he had the time to hang out on the boulevard. And I remember, and then at one point even, I remember this distinctly, his son, Ernie Jr., naturally.
Uncle Ernie Jr.
rented one of the little, in most of these New York City blocks that are on a boulevard, there's the row stores, there's the houses above them, and then there's these two little storefronts on the side street. And Ernie's son opened up one of those once, rented one of those and opened it up and as an art studio. And he would make art and sell art out of there. I don't know if he sold any, but I know he had a number of young women who stopped by and he would show them his paintings
or
you know
etchings.
yeah, the son was kind of a Dick Shawn character, and it's a mad, 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 mad world. He
So I'm
kind of had
coming,
that
Mama.
that thing going on about him. It's like he had a lot of women, and I, as a 8-year-old kid, he actually hired me for, what was it, $1 a day or something, to help him in the art store. I don't know what help. I had to sit there and wait for the phone to ring and answer it, and then take down who it was that called. And I was an early answering machine, so Ernie could go out and have an afternooner. Little
And
Ernie,
were
small
people
Ernie.
looking for him, or were they looking for him?
They were looking for him. No, they were. Women would call, and the calls were predominantly women, and he would. I'd write down the names and numbers and give him to Ernie when he got back, from wherever he was. So I thought it was
Because he was always somewhere, right?
he was always somewhere. But his dad was the boulevardier, and he took care of that block of Northern Boulevard between 83rd and 82nd. Sometimes he would stretch a little bit to one side past 83rd or past 84th, but mostly he was concentrated in that block.
Would he be getting into someone else's territory if he kept going?
I don't think so. I don't know that there was a boulevardier for that 82nd to 83rd.
So there was an opening in the
And
market.
I know he was. This woman had opened up a coffee shop on the corner of 84th and Northern. There was a shoemaker there for 1,000,000 years. And the shoemaker closed up shop because you could buy a pair of Beetle boots at Tom McCann for $9.99. So he closed up shop. And this woman opened up this restaurant, who, now I remember, had a very attractive young daughter. Probably, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 years old, something like that. And Ernie stretched his boulevardiation to that block.
It's a wise choice.
But I know that they didn't let him into Jack Horner Nursery School. They kept him out of there. So
Nothing good could happen by that association.
there was nothing Ernie could do at the Jack Horner Nursery School that was going to really make any difference.
Shouldn't that have been Little Jack Horner?
No, it was just Jack Horner. It was the Jack Horner Nursery School. And I do remember one time walking up to the hobby shop, which was on 86th in Northern, and seeing Ernie sitting in a laundromat all by himself doing his laundry, which kind of humanized Ernie, because Ernie always was very slickly dressed, nicely dressed. So it didn't feel like Ernie ever had to do anything like laundry or dry cleaning or anything like that.
I know the feeling, yeah.
But he always, I saw him, and it kind of humanized Ernie. It kind of brought him
He wasn't
back.
a boulevardier. He was a Main Street guy.
Yeah. So anyway, he was but he was the only royalty that I thought was allowed in the United States. I don't know, Constitution or the order of things, of how things go.
There's a whole section of the Constitution called How Things Go. Not everybody reads it, but they should.
Well, that's the Bill of Rights, isn't it?
Part of it, yeah.
I thought it was AKA the Bill of Rights, how things go. This is how it goes. We do this, we don't do this, we do this, we don't do this, we do this, we do this, we don't do this. Also known as Simon Says.
Simon says we don't do this.
Simon says we don't do this. Simon says we don't do this. Simon says we don't do this. We do this. And that's how it goes. It's not, it's not brain surgery. It's just the Constitution. Usually people, for the most part, obey the Constitution. But unfortunately, we live in a world now where
you don't have to obey anything.
decided they don't want to obey the
You
Constitution.
can
They
come
want
up with your own scheme.
Yeah, they want to do it their way. And I will tell you that as a student lately of World War II and Nazi Germany in particular,
That ain't gonna work.
it comes with a lot of traps when you refuse to acknowledge reality in and
Yeah.
only acknowledge loyalty. It
You end up
always
doing some very
turn out
strange
a mess.
things. Strange things suddenly crop up
Yeah.
before you, and you endorse them, and you join in, and you say, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah, people die in bunkers and get married and kill their wives. I mean, big
People
fat
have
generals.
right now. Not that many people in the Senate and the House and the White House have a bunker, but more and
They
more.
have a bunker. No. That's wrong, Michael. They have a bunker.
Who do you think? Everybody
There's
on
a
that
number
list.
of bunkers in West Virginia. They have a big bunker in West Virginia. They have a large bunker
They're gonna let Californians in. I doubt it.
with months worth of food and I suspect women and song and record players and all that kind of stuff. No, they have a bunker. It's I forget the name of it, but I've seen it. I've been to it. I haven't been in it, but I've been to where it is.
Is there a bunker just for the disco crowds? Because their music is a little bit different than everyone else's.
Well, yeah, you have to be a member of of at least I think at the very least Congress.
Studio 54.5.
Yeah, it's where the Congress will gather and in case of
Catastrophe.
I mean, I forget what the name of it is. I got to look. Greenbrier, I think.
And West Virginia is the closest they could get it to a city center.
Well, they kind of wanted it away from the city center.
The impact zone.
Yeah, they kind of wanted it away from. Yeah, from.
I just don't know how many people would get from Washington and New York to West Virginia in time.
Well, I think it's pretty much for Washington. I think they pretty much said screw New York. Something tells me that they probably have something else up by Indian Point there.
You think these bunkers have been tested in any way? Is there a guarantee that they're going to function?
Oh yeah, no, they have people. They have a full-time staff that I guess takes care of the place. I mean, it's ready to go 24/7. So they have to keep it equipped,
ready to function
with food and stuff, and make sure that the community, because the worst thing that can happen is you put people in a bunker and they can't talk to anybody outside the bunker.
Also, if they don't have the filters cleaned and regularly changed out, that's a problem. Someone's got to do that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you can let's see. In 1958, Congress instructed the Greenbrier to build a West Virginia wing to conceal the construction of an emergency Cold War fallout shelter and relocation facility for Congress. Once veiled in secrecy, the Greenbrier bunker stands today as a captivating historical landmark, inviting guests to embark on an unforgettable 90-minute private or group journey through its corridors and chambers.
And you can't forget it. After you see that, you won't be able to forget it.
Yeah, you can now go on tours of the bunker. It'll be closed March 9 to 12, 2026 for a private function. I guess maybe they're all going to figure and they're going to use it for something.
Party.
And then I kind of remember that because the Greenbrier is a really nice resort in West Virginia. If you could imagine it, there would be a nice resort in West Virginia.
I'm trying to imagine such a thing.
But there's some nice places. There's another place in Berkeley Springs that's really nice. But But this was a place I remember reading about this place, and they had everything you need. They had they have a television station in there, fully equipped, radio station, fully equipped. Um,
They have jingles.
Magazines, hot
Bunker
cold showers,
Show,
hot
New
tubs.
York, Vinnie.
Yeah, I don't know if they have jingles, but
They should.
but
They have the
it was
money for it.
now. I don't know where they moved. I know they moved the bunker at a certain point because everybody knew where it was. and I guess you can't have a bunker if everybody knows where it is.
Sounds
So
like there's some secrecy involved.
right, and they have another one out west here. I believe it's in Colorado. It's either in Colorado or Wyoming Wyoming. Matter of fact, there's a place where if you drive along I-90 in Wyoming, east or west going, there's a national park that used to be a nuclear silo. And you can go down into the silo and
Pretend you're an ICBM.
pretend you're a missile and launch yourself, I guess. But they have, from what I understand, adjacent to that, they've carved out a mountain that you can, that if the shit hits the fan, you can go in there and get cleaned off. And they keep 24 hours, 7 days a week, a shit cleaner in there in case they need them. I don't know if there's multiple shit cleaners, but there's somebody that's their job. Their job is to, stay alert in case we need to get the shit cleaned. Could you imagine having that job? Where you going? Well, I got to go to work, hon. What are you going to be doing? Well, I'm practicing to be a shit cleaner. There's nobody coming in with shit today, but
if they do, I'm ready.
If they do, I'm ready to serve my country and go in there and clean out the shit, clean off the shit of our president, our vice president, members of the cabinet.
I wonder
Marco
if they
Rubio.
have the doors open in West Virginia and they're welcoming in the members of Congress for protection. Can you bring your dog?
I don't know. Nowadays I would probably say much more that you could bring your dog nowadays, as opposed to maybe in the 50s or the 60s, where they probably would have had told the dogs to stay outside. Animal rights has kind of, it's a lot more. People have come to love their animals more now than I think they did back in those days. Now people consider the dog a member of a family. Back then, it was at best an accessory on the way to the American dream. So
I just wondered about the walking of the dog. You have to walk your dog in the facility, not outside.
Well, and therein lies the unless you can prove, I guess, that your dog can jump up on the toilet bowl and take a dump directly in the bowl.
That's unusual.
Not unheard of, but yes, unusual. There are dogs that do that.
That's the title of my next album. Not unusual, but
not unheard, not unusual. But my dog can do that. By the Bonzo Dog Band. I am the Urban Spaceman. Another song we played at the city.
What was the one called? Intro, Outro, where he just introduces all the members of the band. There's like 400 people in the band.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler on woodblock or whatever it was.
Dolphy, stand up. I was part of a scene like that once. I was in it was Earth Day, and this band, which was one of these jam bands of the 60s. I'm sure you had them in San Francisco a ton. This one was the Blues, not the Blues Image, but the Blues something. And it was one of those bands that would get up on stage and they'd start with 5 or 6 people. And by the time the intros came around to the for the leader of this thing to introduce everybody, there was 25, 30 people on stage.
That's going to take a while.
And that's exactly what happened. At Earth Day in 1970, I was on stage at Union Square. It was Union Square. Yeah, Union Square. And somebody had said to me, I'd gotten there and somebody said to me, we don't have an MC. And I said, well, guess what? I'll be happy to go on stage and announce the bands and yada, yada, yada. And so to make announcements. And so, there I am at, I don't know, 14 years old, 13 years old. I'm emceeing the thing, And so this band comes on and the guy who's in charge of the band says, no, don't go away, stick around. And hands me a tambourine. So I'm banging on the tambourine. And he handled it very well. As he introduced the band, he walked around with the microphone. And, in those days, it was wired. So he walked around the microphone, and here's our tambourine player. And he would put the microphone in your face. Who are you? Oh, yeah, I'm Vinnie from Queens. Okay, next. But it took about a half hour.
Yeah.
Which people were getting somewhat impatient about it. But it was a.
Are you guys going to play a song or what?
Well, I think, and I remember him distinctly introducing Louis Abelafia. I remember that happening. I remember because Louis
makes good sense.
Louis never met a stage that he didn't like.
Right.
I'll be willing to go up on. Or be willing to, hit. He was like Uncle Ernie. He had an art studio.
I see a trend developing here.
Strangely enough, I answered the phone for Louis too.
Yeah.
But at least out of Louis, I used to get a little action. Out of Ernie, I got nothing.
No doubt. Yeah.
Louis was kind enough to, include me in some of the action that was going on. Ernie was much more about himself. Anyway, although Ernie did let me borrow his car at the tender young age of 13.
That was the mistake, probably.
No, I brought it back. I took a ride, drove down 82nd Street.
Did he recognize it as his car? The same car?
Oh, yeah. It was a 65, I guess. Yeah, probably 65, 66 Comet convertible. Red. For those of you who may not remember or know, a Comet was the Mercury version of a Ford Falcon.
Yep.
But this thing was red in the days when, cars, when it was a red car, the interior was also red. And the dashboard was red. It was about as red as you could get in a car with plaid seats. But he said, I said, hey, Ernie, let me drive your car. To which I said to everybody when I was 13 years old, let me drive your car. He said, all right. Threw me the keys and said, yeah, go ahead. He was at the store answering all the phone calls. So that was going to take a while. So I drove down 82nd Street.
He would be able to judge your innate luck if you found a parking spot when you brought it back. If you took the car,
find a parking spot.
See what I mean? The luck was with you.
Yeah, I was, and I was gifted at parallel parking at that age. I could swing the car right into the space, and
I don't do it anymore. Do you have the cars that park themselves? You must have.
Oh yeah. They're a trip. Matter of fact,
how does it work? How does that concept go beyond the drawing board to actually functioning?
It has LiDAR.
Oh,
so in the car,
two-dimensional radar.
Yeah. So it looks at you pull up next to the car, you pull up, you push the parking button, and it turns on the lidar sees the sizes up the space, and then you take your hands off the wheel, and it backs into the space.
If you don't have enough room, does it say can't park at this time?
It'll stop.
Just stop.
Yeah, if you don't have enough room, or some of them, the more advanced systems will tell you before you get in. It's not,
This ain't gonna make it.
It's not going to make it. It sizes up the space, and I guess process that and Hyundai has one. My favorite, I think, is the Hyundai, because what the Hyundai does is it enables you to stand outside the car. And let's say you're in a tight space where, in a parking lot, and two people have parked close to you. You can stand outside the car, push the button, and the car will itself back out of the parking space.
I like that.
Which I have used many times because the spaces in the parking lot have been too tight, or somebody has parked close enough that you can't really open the door and get in.
Right.
So you just hit this gizmo and it backs up. One of the best inventions I've ever found on a car.
Fabulous invention. Great idea.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't have it years before. Well, they probably didn't have LiDAR. But as you know, as you're familiar with, the newest thing to steal on a car that thieves have found easy to steal are the LiDAR sensors.
They have copper wires?
No, but they're obviously they're like little camera-like objects that project the LiDAR beam, and they go for about, I guess, $700, $800, $900 a piece, maybe more, but wholesale. So you can sell them for $200 on, I don't know.
What do they look like? Like, how big are they?
Like a lens with a little thing behind it and then a wire. And so those are the newest things to steal, because you can pop them out of the bumper in a car. Every car has
sensors,
at least 8 of them.
Wow.
4 for the front and 4 for the back. And to replace them probably cost you $1,500 a piece. So there you go. See, you learned something about cars today. That's the newest thing that police departments are.
What's the new car that they're advertising called Dream? It's not spelled DREAM. It's like DREAME. It's been advertising during the Olympics, and they show a car, but they don't give you any details about who is the product master.
Haven't seen it. Don't know anything about it. Which
maybe it's not a car. Maybe I mistook it for a car ad, and it's not really a car ad.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of if there's anybody in particular that's showing off a new car. I know that Toyota has rolled out a newer version of their Grand Highlander, an all-electric version. I know that Ford has rolled out a new electric architecture. Everybody says electric cars are going away, but they're still sinking a lot of money into developing them. So don't count your chickens before they hatch.
If I'm the California Highway Patrol and I want to buy 100 new vehicles, who do I go to? Who do I buy them from? Who's going to?
Right now, you're probably still going to Dodge for Chargers. The new, the new Charger has a 4-door and a 2-door version. The 4-door is the one that would be the police vehicle. Or you'd go to Ford. which continues to make the police interceptor, which
Like the
is
Crown Vic.
no. Crown Vic's long gone. Although I'll tell you about the Crown Vic in a second. The Explorer SUV has a police version that's specifically built in Chicago for police departments. So you can get it outfitted with the front and rear huge bumpers that you see, the push bumpers. The vehicle has, through the use of LiDAR, a device that shows you if somebody is approaching your vehicle from the rear or from the side or from the back or from the front, and alerts the driver. It has obviously a beefed up electric system, beefed up suspension system, beefed up motor, so that they can pursue vehicles, a pursuit vehicle. So they're specially built. And I think Ford is probably the Charger was the one that a lot of departments were buying for a long time. But the Explorer or the Expedition, I forget which one. I think it's the Explorer. Their police vehicle is obviously larger and carries more equipment in it. Has a more comfortable back seat.
Yeah,
for
the Charger's
prisoner.
kind of on the small side, isn't it?
What?
The Charger's on the small side in terms of
Not really. I mean, it's a full-size car, but full-size car isn't, these days, isn't that big. An SUV is big. So that's, and of course, New York City uses, I forget how many they have, but they use Teslas and Toyota Priuses as police cars as well. So you have some jurisdictions that are using those. So that's something that, but Ford and Dodge are the two companies, Stellantis are the two companies that make the majority of police cars.
What do you think the price is per unit?
Well, I don't know now. I know 5, 6, 7 years ago, they were around 50. They've probably gone up considerably because of the improvements no tariffs. Well, there might be on some of the equipment, but part of the problem is not a problem, but many of the police departments require that the vehicles be made in the United States.
Yeah, they want to be able to say that they're buying American.
Right. So I'm sure that those vehicles have gone up. They're probably, I would say, closer to 60. With a fleet discount, and if they have to get them painted up special, or nowadays the companies, where it used to be that you'd get a police special, Chrysler, let's say, for years, New York City used Chryslers, Plymouth Furies, the Fury 1, and they would deliver those cars with simple dashboards, simple holes drilled in the roof, and then the dealer would add on the equipment like the speedometer for speeders, the certified speedometer, and the roof lights and other, those will all be done by the dealer. Nowadays, it's all done by the factory. They make it as a unit,
right?
And you can just go buy it as a unit. Chevy had quite a large amount of police cars up until a couple of years ago, when they had the what was it, the 9L76, and basically it was a Holden, which is an Australian car, but was Americanized, brought here, put together here, so you could get by the Made in America deal, and it was a fast car. It was a what they called a Chevy Caprice,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably the quickest of all of the cars, but it was a smaller car, and a lot of the police complained that it wasn't. If you had most of these cops now, you know, they look like two humans sewed up into one. So they were complaining that they were uncomfortable, whereas the Ford and the Charger were bigger, and it gave them more room for their girth and all the shit that they got to wear, the military stuff now that most cops feel like they have to wear to scare
Yes.
people, to intimidate people. And to also, let's be fair, to protect themselves. I mean, if you're on certain types of duty, you probably want to be wearing that tactical vest and, all the stuff that goes along with it. I don't know if you're on regular street patrol that you want to be wearing that, because it separates you from the public. If you see somebody like walking down the street with a vest like that, you'll tend to stop them and or shoot them.
Or drag them out of their car.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's so that's the vehicles. Although now with longer range electric vehicles, the Lucid that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I think it's a 400-mile range, and it's a fast car. You're not going to get away from that car. That car is quick, and so I think that electric vehicles. I think that the tests in New York were favorable with the Tesla. So I think you'll see more EVs being used as police cars.
Maybe you get pulled over by a car that doesn't have a cop in it. It can just pull you over, write you a ticket, check your registration, scan your license plate, and you're off. You're on your way with a ticket, owing the city $150.
Yeah, essentially have that with the traffic light cameras, the speeding cameras now. They don't have to pull you over. They just, get your license plate number and note that you were going 55 through a 30 and send you a notice to appear because you were going so many miles over the speed limit. And they got your picture, and they have a picture of you driving the car. It's kind of hard to beat that. So you pays your money and you takes your chance. So got a little bit of news just before we went on the air. I don't know if you heard this yet, but the Seattle Seahawks have announced that they're for sale.
They are for sale. Wow.
Yes, all of the denying last week, all of the no has now turned into a yes, yes, yes.
My question is why?
Well, I guess Paul Allen put it in his will that when he passed, the teams be sold and the money be used for philanthropic purposes. So,
okay.
Rather than own a sports team, they are going to take that money and use them for all of the things that Paul Allen envisioned for a better world.
The betterment of society.
Yeah, which is kind of hard to argue with. My only argument with the whole thing, to be honest with you, is, again, the lying started with sports. It conditioned up to it, because we have been conditioned as people who are into sports for many years to be lied to. Right? I mean, you ask what other business could you be in where you would ask a person a question and they would out and out lie to your face? No, we're not trading him. No, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing that. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, 5 days later, the story comes out that, yes, in fact, they are trading, selling, raising the price, asking for a subsidy, whatever it is. But it's the only business that is, up until Slapdick was elected president, it's been the only business that's been accepted. If the head of General Motors lied to you and said, "Well, we're not coming out with a new Vega, anytime soon," and then 3 days later pulled the curtain up on a brand new Vega,
I just wanted to surprise you.
Yeah, his feet or her feet would be held to the fire for that, right? But in this new era of lying to people, for the hell of it, is almost a sport. Who cares if you lie?
So we started out with a lie. The team isn't for sale. Wait, yes, it is for sale. Wait, it's for sale. All bets are off. But have there been anybody mentioned as likely purchasers, and what's the price going to be, do we think?
No. Well, the price is going to be. I mean, I forget what there was a valuation I saw in the four. I don't know, in the billions. So I mean, the price at this point, is going to be as much as they can get for it. Obviously,
it's not good news.
Champion franchise. So
I don't think it's good news for the Seahawks. I don't. The Seahawks did not have a competitive team before Paul Allen. They had a consistently competitive team with Paul Allen, and our history of new owners in Seattle is not a proud one. There doesn't seem to be.
I would argue with that. I don't know. I mean, say what you want about the Mariners owners. They put a successful product on the field for many years. They went through a dry period, but then again, I guess it all depends on who's running the team. What's the idea? How do you want to run the team? Do you want to run the team as a business where you have to consistently make money every year? Or do you want to be a rich guy or rich woman and buy the business because you are a sportsman and you want to win? And
those are your choices, though, right? There aren't 3 or 4 other choices. You got to be a competitor or not.
Well, I don't know that there's many teams that operate within a budget, an edict to make money and win. Because to win these days in sports, you have to go over your budget. You have to be willing to pay somebody a phenomenal amount of money. Now, the Mariner owners, for a certain part of their time, have been good, and then for a certain part of their time have been bad. Now, for a certain part of their time, are good again. I don't think that they're going to spend money insanely like the Mets do, or the Yankees, or the Dodgers, or those franchises. But they signed the kid as soon as the season was over. They made some nice trades. I mean, they should be a pretty good team. Most people are picking them to win the division and be competitive. The Mets have spent money and rebuilt their team. Actually, pretty nicely. But again, we'll stick with the Mariners, with Seattle. The Seahawks, yeah. I mean, the Seahawks were competitive under John Nordstrom. They weren't horrible under John Nordstrom after the first few years. Then Ken Behring came in, down. Then Paul Allen bought the team.
Sorry, you had to see that, my dear.
Sonics were competitive most of the years that they were here, only until
they were playoff teams, yes.
Yeah. Only until the last couple of years when Schultz owned them, were they really not competitive? And even then they were still competitive. And had they stayed here, they had a great draft. So I think, kind of be honest with you, I think for a small market, and, let's not forget that Seattle's not a big market team. Um, I think they've done okay. Again, what do you consider are they going to compete with the Dodgers? Are they going to compete with the Giants? Are they going to compete with um, a lot of teams? No, they were, for a long time, the Mariners were like the Pittsburgh Pirates. They didn't spend any money, but I don't know if you want to call it, they heard from the fans or what. They realized that winning is more fun than losing. I don't know what happened, and all of a sudden they opened up the purse strings, but they did.
They
So
just justified it to themselves. They
yeah,
didn't want to lose.
part of it, I guess, was they just realized that they were at a point where people weren't going to show up at the ballpark anymore. When you win like they did last year, and even though they didn't get to the World Series, they still had a wildly successful year. And they've spent money on free agency in the past. Don't forget that the Mariners were the first team in Major League history to have $100 million payroll and lose 100 games.
Good effort.
So it was about selection as much as, who you were getting on a team, as much as it was how much you want to pay.
Ain't it always the truth?
Yeah. So, so I don't know who the new owners are going to be. I don't think anybody knows that yet. We'll see. I suspect that Jody Allen is not going to sell the team to, a bunch of people who only want to make money with the team. I think she'll probably try to find somebody who she feels is competitive, wants to keep that Seahawk competitiveness. This town now has it's kind of moved in that direction of the Steelers, where people here expect to win the Super Bowl now every year. And
that's different.
Reality, yeah. I mean, how was it when we got here? People were hoping that Dan McGuire would show up. You had one good player, two good players, Joey Galloway or Sean Alexander or somebody like that. You had one player to watch or two players to watch, or Cortez Kennedy. You didn't have a ton of good players because they didn't go after good players. They didn't want to pay good players. We were lucky to have a team.
If they got a good player, they would trade him.
Yeah. I mean, you had the whole. Remember, after '95, you had the whole Tino Martinez and Omar Vizquel thing. They had, players that were close to being Hall of Fame caliber, and they got rid of them to the Yankees and to the Indians to get more players and cash. And it resulted in not so good of a. And then once they got through that, then they had a general manager for a long time who didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Was that me? I forget. Was I the general manager then?
No. Bill Bavasi was.
Because I know I had a job down there and I didn't know what I was doing, but I can't never remember what it was.
When Woody left, when Woody Woodward left the charge of the club and turned it over to Pat Gillick, Pat did wonders. He was a master evaluator of talent. And he brought in possibly the best crew that the Mariners, certainly up until that point, that they had seen. And even after that. And he brought in a team that sustained the loss of both Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez, two Mortal Lock Hall of Fame players. and still the year after that won 116 games. So, I mean, you don't win every year, obviously,
Right.
but
Can't be done.
Seattle fans have, I think, been treated to some pretty good, the psyche of Seattle fans has changed. When we got here in 92, 93, it was, well, we're lucky we have a team. We don't even know if the baseball team is going to be here next year. Right? I mean, how many years did we go for where we were, well, you got to hope somebody doesn't buy the team in the off season.
Every team was in jeopardy one at a time. The Sonics, the Seahawks, the Mariners, one at a time. They were into the spotlight, and it was dark days ahead.
Yeah.
It was not a comforting situation to be in. It didn't look promising.
And even when they found somebody to buy the Mariners that would offer the franchise some stability, then there was we don't want foreign ownership. People forget about that whole little chapter of people saying, well, we don't want Japanese people owning the team. Major League Baseball doesn't want foreign ownership. We don't want immigrants owning the team. This immigrant stuff didn't start yesterday. It's been around a while. So hopefully, Jody Allen will find an ownership group that wants to keep the team here. I think that's a mortal lock. I don't think there's any way that they could get out of it right now. Maybe in 10 years or something. But,
maybe Jared Kushner could put together a consortium and pay in Saudi Arabian money.
Well, that's a decision that's going to have to be made because they're trying to get into sports. Now, no team has, as of yet, as far as I know, taken their money on a large basis. I mean, maybe there's some minor ownerships in some teams. I don't know. I don't think there's one in baseball. Obviously we know about golf and about tennis and about all of that. But money's getting harder to find. So when money gets harder to find, what do? They open
when
up.
You're talking real money, like billions and billions.
Yeah, we're talking real money. Well, little money's harder to find too. But when you're talking about that kind of money, size money, it's you're willing to open up your parameters. You're willing to open up your expectations. You're willing to open up what you'll accept and who you'll accept it from to keep your sport alive, to keep your city in it. I mean, if it's choice of moving a team out of, some team from San Antonio, let's say, some ownership group from San Antonio buying the Seahawks and moving them there, or a bunch of, Saudi Arabians buying a team and saying we'll keep them in Seattle. You think people are going to be against the Saudi Arabians?
Not if they win.
Yeah. Not if they win, not if they cut journalists' heads off. Whatever they do.
They have to video it if they do that.
So hopefully some local group will come up and their names won't be on the Epstein list. Because that you got to check that these days too, right?
It's a good idea if you do, yeah. You'd be surprised who's going to be on there.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Billy Martin is on there, but his name could have been discussed.
I, yeah, I saw an interview with I can't remember who it was now, but it saw the list, a congressman that saw the list, and was saying it would surprise you, some of the names that are on that list that haven't been made public yet. I personally think they should make all the names public. Just go ahead and
Well,
get it over with, do it, and let's get over with. Let's admit that rich men have sexual proclivities that can't be satisfied by their wives.
they would land you in jail, but not them.
That would put you in jail.
Mhm.
But because they're rich men, they can buy their way out of it. They can buy public opinion. They can buy uh, uh, the judges. They can buy the lawyers. They can buy the necessary tools to keep them out of trouble.
And I
It's
think they
it's
should get, if while you're buying things, don't forget to get pizza for the press corps.
right. It's the way of the world. Unfortunately, we are a society that values
I refer you to the song of the same name by Cheap Trick,
pizza for the press corps.
The Way of the World.
Oh, the way of the world. Yes.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I think it's sad because it does reinforce the idea that many people have that money will buy you anything. It really will.
I think you got a point there. What did the fabulous furry freak brother say? Dope will get you through times of no money, better than money will get you through times of no dope.
It's like my dad used to say.
Yeah.
My dad used to say, life is like a shit sandwich. The more bread you have, the less shit you have to eat. And he was very astute in that
This
observation.
business of having to eat it, is that no wiggle room there? You have to eat the shit sandwich?
I guess so. If it's served on the buffet and
Seems
your
like
mother
that's
has
the last
told
thing you'd
you,
want to do.
yeah, not to waste food.
Yeah, there is that. That's an point of argument. Not convincing, but an interesting point.
I didn't mean it to be convincing. I just meant it to be a statement of unreal fact. By the way, sad news, I guess, from Lake Tahoe. They have found those 8 skiers, and they are all dead. The ones that fell victim to that avalanche in the back country of Lake Tahoe. Sad. Um, I don't know. I don't know much about like when they went and everything like that, but it's just whether they, I'm sure people already will be saying, well, they shouldn't have been up there. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done that. And I would agree with that to a certain point. I don't know how quick the storm came upon them. I know that there's people that get their thrills out of doing that kind of thing, like, cheating death. Well, you don't always cheat death, unfortunately.
You can make the effort, but don't be surprised by the outcome.
Right. You just and so that's 8 families that are going through grief, and 8. I mean, I don't know how many are married or anything like that, but a large number of people who have lost a father, a son, a brother, for the want of adventure, I guess. Right. Why else do you go skiing if they tell you it's going to be snowing like that?
And it was a blizzard conditions. We had
Yeah.
super winds in Pasadena last night with the rain, and it was really a storm. I haven't had one like that in a while. Pounding rain and high winds. It was quiet this morning, sunny and clear.
Yeah, we had a pretty nasty. Well, it wasn't the worst I've heard, but it was a pretty nasty overnight and kind of going into darkness yesterday. It's supposed to be nice for a little while today, and then it'll start to snow, from what I understand.
I hope that's the case. I love the snow in Seattle, as long as I'm not in it.
Well, I'm driving to Portland after the show, so
So
I'm
let's not
hoping
have too much.
I can get there before it gets crazy and get back.
What are you driving?
I'm going to be driving. I'm going to have a choice. I'm trying to figure out, should I take I have a Subaru, which is always a good,
Snow car.
good car in the snow, and an Audi. And I have my choice between either one. The Audi gets here today. The Subaru is here. It goes away on Friday, so I can take that down. So I just have to figure out which one I want to use in the snow. The Subaru has an advantage because it has an area that you can get into in the back if you get stuck in the snow and go to sleep.
You sleep, you're set. It's
Snooze
made for
there,
that.
stretch out.
I'm assuming
The
that the Audi
Audi
doesn't have that feature.
doesn't have that, but the Audi is very comfortable and handles extremely well in bad weather. They're, with the right tires, they're extremely good cars
So whatever your choice, you can't lose.
in bad weather. So yeah, at least I'm not driving like a fender flapping 64 Pontiac or something down there with no tail lights. I'll be lucky in that respect.
But you've done that, so you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I've done that in life many times. I've driven that 64 Pontiac with flapping fenders and a hole in the floor. I remember I had a 62 Chevy station wagon that had rusted away.
Yeah.
Where the floorboard was under the driver.
Yeah.
And when it would snow, because this was in New York, when it would snow, you'd get more snow in the car than you would. I remember opening the door of that car once, and there was snow coming through the hole. And on the front seat, it was windy enough and snowy enough that the snow drifted into the hole.
If it can happen, it will happen in New York during the winter.
I remember I was sitting there cleaning it out. My brother is looking at me.
What are you doing? Where are you getting this stuff?
I'm saying, well, the snow got in the car. So we found a couple of, we didn't find them, we took them. We found a couple of doormats.
Sure.
Those heavy duty rubber doormats. And we cut them and put them on the floor of the car and used those for the day. The only problem with those is that the floor of the car sits on the exhaust pipe. So when it would get hot, it would start to burn the rubber mat and you get that acrid rubber smoke.
Don't need that.
So it was
one damn thing after another.
I remember those days, man, of having to patch together something to get from point A, get to work, Never mind, just go driving around, but just to get to work, it was interesting. So,
shall we work on the Freakish Fractures Friday?
Yes, we will. By the way, I just wanted to say Bill Gates will probably not be buying the Seahawks. So all of the people who want it, because remember that was the one call we used to get all the time with the Mariners. Why doesn't Bill Gates buy the Mariners?
In fact, why didn't he fix everything? Why didn't he just do it? We expected much more of him.
Well, he fixed a lot of things, Michael. It's just that he didn't fix them here.
Right.
He said, you know what? You people in the United States, you don't know how good you have it. I'm going to go fix stuff where people have bacteria in their water.
Right.
Where they can't, where kids are born and they have birth defects because people drink water with chemicals in them. He's done his part. He eradicated, what was the mosquito illness? I forget.
River blindness.
Yeah, not diphtheria. No, not diphtheria. But one of the mosquito diseases that were, he almost practically, if not did eliminate that, his money, eliminated that. He used his money for a lot of charitable things that made the world better. I mean, you can say what you want about cheating on his wife and little girls and all that kind of stuff, but
There's
the
more on
record
that
is
side
not
to him.
entirely bad.
Right.
You know, not like Trump, who, you know, was, you know, don't even get me started. We don't have the time. So anyway, yes, let's do a Fractious Friday, which would mean to me that we would meet here on Friday morning at about 10 minutes after 10.
That sounds good to me.
All right, Mikey, if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, I will see you on Friday morning. And remember
See you then.
the words of the great philosopher Uncle Ernie.
What did he say?
Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
When you're on the boulevard, enjoy your vino. It's quite a wine.
See you, Mikey. Thank you all for listening, too. We appreciate it. We'll see you on Friday.
See you, Vin.
See you.